approved as council. So this will obviously not run parallel with the shift system, because that is yet to come to council for approval. So I think, Executive Mayor, the recommendations are in order as I've alluded. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief Whip. Councillor Jubet.
Thank you, Speaker. Two things. I think you're going to have problems coordinating this meeting with all these hands up. I can see 8 hands currently up. So if those people want to talk, you'll have a problem acknowledging them. So if we can sort out the hand issue for one. And then in reply to the Chief Whip, the previous ordinary council meeting on the 26th, we were supposed to already get that report on the shift system, or an update at least, as was recommended in the previous. So it's 2 councils back that we did that recommendation. The minutes was approved on the meeting of the 26th. So we should have actually received that report, to my understanding, in the previous council. So just wanted to make you aware of that.
Thank you, Councillor Jubet. Councillor Mtapo, Councillor Mhlabeng, Councillor Hopani. Can you please lower your hands?
I need to talk, Speaker. This is the new hand.
Speaker, I've been raising my hand. Can you say you have noted my hand, please?
Okay, let me check something first. Okay, Councillor Mtapo, Councillor Mpana, Councillor Chibabu, Councillor Mashalane, Councillor Opani, Councillor Marx. In that order, please.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Mine is going to be very quick on page 38. Recommendation number 1, that says council approve condonation of law enforcement officers to work unplanned overtime hours in excess of the provision of clause 4.5 and 4.6. It must be noted, Speaker, that this 2.9 million that is there, it does not necessarily mean that it must be used before the end of the financial year. If there is a saving that we can have, let's have it. And then that is subject to proper planning. It must not just be an open, a blank checkbook to say, now because we condone, and then this money must just be splashed and people just work, even where it's unnecessarily. So it must be noted. Thank you very much.
Noted, Honorable Councillor Mtapo. Councillor Shibabu.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I think I was the third, but let me come in because you said I must come in. Speaker, I think at least council must appreciate that it is this council that brought a issue here over time, that it's a concerning issue to council. And this council have resolved that, therefore, as council, we need to come up with a mechanism where we'll be able to cap unnecessary overtime. And in that, we have resolved to say, therefore, we must have a process, rotation. And the report in front of us, Chief Whip, it does not speak to a rotation process. It speaks to us, to council, to say there are legal matters in terms of overtime. We therefore request council to approve in this instance on the basis of what we have found on the ground in terms of ensuring that our property infrastructure, in terms of electrical and all those theft issues, that we request council to approve this specific overtime arrangement. And I think, Chief Whip, also to add, to say the report of if it will clash or not, I think it will be indicated in the report that speaks to that one. But I also wanted to speak to say the the CFO has confirmed that he supports this project. I believe that all funds are available to execute the work. So therefore, Chief Whip, without being opportunist on bringing other items that are not on the agenda, because this is a special meeting for a special issues. So we support this arrangement, Chief Whip, because it will assist the municipality and cap the infrastructure that we are faced with as a municipality, and all of us as councillors, we are aware of that. I think the issue over time we should not be worried about, because already there is a council resolution in relation to deal with that matter, and all officials, I'm sure even the MM is aware of that, and he would not go to that space of contravening the position of the council. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Councillor Shibabu. Councillor Mutlaveng. Before that, MMC Nkwe, MMC Mukamedi, Executive Mayor, I recognize your hands. Councillor Mutlaveng.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm raising my hand on supporting my colleagues on raising the issue of having physical consent, because now I have 10 minutes.
You are out of order, Councillor Mutlaveng, please. Councillor Max, Honorable Councillor Max.
Oh, I thought it was next.
Honorable Councillor Max. If Honorable Councillor Max is not on the platform, MMC Nkwe.
Thanks, Speaker. Good morning, Executive Mayor and all the councillors. Speaker, I'm raising my hand to support the item. If you can check in page 38, we are given financial implications there, but also to emphasize that we are now having a cash flow strategy as the municipality. So if you can check the comments of the CFO, they are saying supported, provided director ensure that the budget of the SBU is not exceeded by compromising either other expenditure items to raise the savings to fund overtime requested. Speaker, Section 78 of the MFA states that each senior manager of a municipality and each official of a municipality exercising financial management responsibility must take all steps within the respective areas of responsibility to ensure that in terms of Section 71AB, the financial and other resources of the municipalities are utilized effectively, efficiently, economically, and transparently. Speaker, we are also aware of the overtime issues. They are now serving at LLF, and I think the report also with the shift council, they will come in the next council. Thanks, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, MMC. MMC Mukamedi.
Colleagues that are present in this meeting. Speaker, if you can check on page 36 in terms of the recommendation, which I guess it was a discussion between MMC Finance and the CFO. As MMC Finance has said that the CFO is in support with this. And if you check on recommendation number 5, it says there are funds available on segment number blah, 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 200. And there is an overtime policy which is attached. And prior to what Councillor Ngo was saying, the issue of that, the question raised by Councillor Chidi about the document related to the, what we call shift. I guess the document is busy at LLF, and in the next council, it will be presented to a normal council. So standing here as Councillor Mwagamedi, I'm in support of the recommendation stated. Thank you.
Thank you, MMC Mukamedi. Executive Mayor.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Greetings to yourself, Council Chief Whip, as well as fellow councillors. Good morning. Colleagues, I think there's been quite a number of comments that has been made. I just wanted to state that all of us as council, I think we need to applaud the law enforcement unit for the good work in terms of apprehending some of the criminal elements that are busy vandalizing our infrastructure and stealing our cables. And this has cost us a great deal as a municipality in terms of us replacing cables. Some of the cables that have been stolen, they are stolen in areas where is in industrial areas. Probably the net effect of that will be loss of jobs when some of those factories are unable to operate due to cable theft. We must all agree that as a country, probably as a municipality, we are really under serious attack by criminal elements, some of whom are illegal immigrants to our country. Unfortunately, we have to say this. And it is a question of how much more are we prepared to lose this cable, replace them at costs of millions, rather than probably the situation where now we have to pay the monthly cost that has been expressed in the financial implications. But however, let me also correct the recommendation that council approve the condonation for law enforcement officers who worked unplanned overtime hours in excess, that excess again of the provision of clause 4.5.6. So it is not a blanket approach that we have already approved in advance. No, every deviation from the policy must still come to council, even if there are compelling reasons why we are deviating, as we want to safeguard our assets and our livelihood as a municipality, must still come back to council. So I wanted just to clarify the recommendation number 1, and that it must also be reworked properly. What we are also saying as a municipality is that we are going to speed up the process of filling up vacant law enforcement law enforcement posts in the municipality, so that we've got enough capacity to deal with this challenge that we are faced with. We are indeed under siege, and we cannot just hold our arms, and our law enforcement agency may have to work around the clock if needs be, in order to safeguard the interests of our residents and that of our municipality as a whole. I'm confident, and actually just want to emphasize that these recommendations are in order, and I also just want to emphasize that let's approve what is due to the workers. Let's also motivate our workers that obviously once we start implementing the shift system, it will mean that we need to have enough so that we can allocate law enforcement agencies who work at night, in some instances those who work during the day. So I just wanted to make that point, and thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Executive Mayor. And the recommendation are approved.
Speaker, my hand is...
Councillor Jubet.
Sorry, sorry, Speaker. I agree with what the Mayor said. I just think we really need to rework, or just make sure that we have recommendation 1 worded correctly. Because as I read it, even with the change that the Executive Mayor made, I think it still sounds like a blanket approval. That council approved condonation for law enforcement officers who worked unplanned overtime hours. I understand that, but then it can be, it's still a blanket approval or condonation. I would actually like to get a reply from the mayor through you, Speaker. Maybe just if we can add a period to this. At the end of this, the recommendation, just say up until the end of a financial year or something, and then we can have a report like this on a quarterly basis or monthly basis until the shift system has been fully implemented, because otherwise we'll have this item approved and then we'll have the shift system, like Councillor Chidi said. It's two separate things. I'm just scared this item will not be, the recommendation one is not speaking to the issue correctly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Councillor Jubet. Chief Whip.
Thank you very much again, Honorable Speaker, and all protocol observed in terms of greetings. Honorable Speaker, I think with that particular correction that the Executive Mayor has made in terms of recommendation 1, we cannot then say it is still a blanket approach, given that one, in the report clearly specifies that the budget for that is available up until the end of the financial year. So we are not saying that it is going to be something that will be a trend in this institution beyond the end of the financial year. So the report clearly states that, and I think with that particular change, now the recommendations are in order, based that we are recommending based on the report. Isn't that what we're recommending based on the report? The report clearly states that up until the end of the financial year. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Chief Whip. The recommendation approved. Next item, Secretariat.
Speaker, there's other hands as well. And with all due respect, the report speaks to that. I fully agree with the Chief Whip. The report, if you read the report, it clearly speaks to the financial year, but the recommendations don't. So if after a year's time and you go and look at this, it still looks like a blanket approach, a condonation. So if we just add, even if you add it, but I still think it should be added on item 1, or you add it on item 5, recommendation 5, that make it specifically clear on the recommendations that it's for this financial year. The report says so, but the recommendations don't speak to that portion of the report. And also just remember there were other hands as well. Thank you.
Noted. Executive Mayor.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. What I have said is that, and we are approving based on the financial implications now. Any further overtime will have to be argued on the basis of its own merit. Each and every month, if there is any other overtime in excess of clause 4.5 and clause 4.6, we will then have to make that determination as council. But this approval is not an approval for future expenditure, it's approval for the current expenditure. If there is any other work that is being done due to the pressure that we are under, we will have to see it as, it's just like a deviation that we have in terms of supply chain. On a monthly basis, you will have to approve that based on the cost or financial implication of that particular deviation for that particular period. So I'm just saying that we are not approving future expenditure. We are saying that council approved condonation for law enforcement officers who worked unplanned hours in excess of the provision of clause 4.5 and 4.6 of the overtime policy. Who worked is we are approving some, we are not approving future expenditure. We are approving now. If it happens that next month or by the end of this month of June, which is the end of the financial year, there is a work that had to be done because we have not as yet implemented the shift system, we have not employed additional, we will, based on the merit of whatever motivation that is given by the unit, or by the departments. No department is being given a blank check to work overtime and make some arguments, but we are understanding the challenge that we are faced with. We are not, we are actually, in terms to the reality of the situation, that we are under siege. As a municipality, we are under attack by criminals, and therefore, from time to time, we might have to come back to the same item up until we resolve the issue. But we don't want to make it and make the department think that let's just do it, because the more you try and approve things into the future, the more it can be subjected to abuse. Even the department must make efforts, and there must be a way in which this must be controlled, so that you do not have law enforcement agencies not doing their work during the day once again and waiting up until it's very late at night. But let's remember, criminals will not, in many instances, work or do whatever they are doing during the daylight, and that is what force the law enforcement agencies to go and monitor those sites that are under threats from time to time. So I believe that the way in which I have coined it, it does make us to approve it for this particular expenditure that we have incurred. If there is any other further expenditure, we will cross that bridge when we get to that river. Thank you.
Thank you, Executive Mayor. It's well captured. Secretariat, next item.
Speaker, there's hands once again.
Councillor Jubet, you have
Yes.
spoken more than 4 times now.
Yeah, but we don't get to a point. We need clarity on the recommendation one. And Councillor Ramapakela's hands also up.
Councillor Ramapakela? Honorable Councillor Ramapakela?
Yeah, thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I'm worried. Other councillors are able to tell you other people's hands are up, but our mics are muted. Anyway, the reason I'm raising this hand is that on this issue, we need to be very cautious, not to take a decision that will be counterproductive when it comes to the real challenges on the ground. I think to bridge the gap which has been identified, which would make it easy for anyone to abuse the system for selfish benefit because of the absence of any guideline. We propose that the Director of Community Services through the Office of the MM in the next ordinary council submit a procedure which will be followed. I mean a strategic document which will entail the procedure which will be followed to create checks and balances on the call outs for the law enforcement officers to go and do some work out there, so that we have a system which we can rely on to manage the overtime. If we just leave it like this because we've resolved to approve this one, come the other call outs, whoever has to approve those call outs will be considerate of this resolution of today to say, look, I'm not sure whether I should approve or not, because if it goes to council and council finds that this was not a very serious thing, I would have to account. But if we improvise to bridge the gap by some strategic document which would entail the procedure which will be followed, and that document is brought to council for noting, not for approval, for noting, so that whoever is in charge on that particular time when the law enforcement officers are called in to come and do some investigation or arrest outside the working hours, this person who will be on the shift at that time will be will be able to say, I have a document which I will use to check whether there are these following issues or rather items have been satisfied. Then mark, tick the boxes and approve. Tick the boxes and approve. Even if it's telephonically, he can do the administrative work paperwork the following day, as long as there is management work around that thing. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Councillor Ramapakela. Councillor Jubet.
Chief Speaker, my hand is up.
Councillor Shibabu, you'll follow after Councillor Jubet. Councillor Buota, you'll follow Councillor Shibabu. Chief Whip.
Thank you, Speaker. I really don't want to be difficult. That's why I was raising it politely, I think. I'm still not satisfied with the wording. So if it's going to be accepted like this, let it be noted that the DA is not in support of the item due to the wording of the recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Councillor Jubet. Councillor Shibabu.
Thank you very much.
Have I muted this?
Thank you very much, Speaker. No, I just wanted to support submitted by the Executive Mayor that we are approving yesterday. We can't be talking about tomorrow. I think if we are talking about tomorrow, we are jumping the gun. The presentation made, the submission made, I think it was in a simplest English when the Executive Mayor was presenting, was saying because of agents of emergency, there are things that happened. And those things, when they happen, they contravene the act. So as council, can we then approve for those contravention, condone that those individuals are paid? Another submission that was made by MMC was saying it is within the space of management, the MM and the directors that we have appointed to make sure that whatever decision that they are taking, it is according to the MFMA. As council, ours is to ensure that they have implemented according to this, the legislation that is directing us. So I think, Speaker, if we'll go to a space where we are saying, management, do a program of action, come, let us see your program of action. And then we are doing administration. We can't be doing administration. Administration must do administration work and comply with all legislation and bring a report for monitoring and oversight from ourselves. In between that, there is an executive mayor, there is a mayoral committee that must make sure that administration is following the prescript of the municipality at all times. So, Chief Whip, I think we've been discussing this matter. Can you rule that it is understandable that the submission made and the correction made by the executive mayor is in order? Because all the submissions are made for the future, and we have not arrived there. There's no submission of the future. I request Speaker to rule on the matter. We continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Shibabu. Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I concur with Councillor Shibabu, Honorable Speaker. We've really dealt with this matter. We've done justice in terms of deliberations on this matter, Honorable Speaker. The report is quite clear. We're approving for the overtime worked now, not for future, as the executive may have said. We are saying there's been excess hours that we need to pay that council must approve. We are approving those excess hours. And I think the expenditure is quite clear in the report of 200 and something thousand, not anything in the future that we are anticipating. Now, I think we must just, Honorable Speaker, in principle, we are agreeing that the work that is done by these law enforcement officers is important, and that saves the institution a lot of millions. We need to approve this, Honorable Speaker. Honestly, we have done justice to this and move on to the next item. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Chief Whip. Recommendation are approved. Next item, Secretariat.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Access will be changed to access, and also the amendments all made on the recommendation. We are now moving to item 3, determination of upper limits of salaries, allowance, and benefits of members of
Councillor Mashalani, MMC Mashalani.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The purpose of this report is to obtain approval from Council for implementation of the upper limits, salaries and allowances to benefits councillors. In noting that for purposes of the implementation of this government notice in consultation with, means that the municipal council must obtain concurrence of the MEC for local government prior to the implementation. So if we approve, we need also to take the document back to the MEC's office so that our upper limits can be dealt with there. And also note that I'm on page 293. The Polokwane municipalities had audited financial system by the date of the publication of this notice. As a result, figures from 2020-2021 financial year used to determine the grading. On upper, some of the points allocated for the total municipal income as well as the total population adds up to 83.34 points, which places Polokwane municipality on grade 5. The implication, therefore, is that upper limits of the annual total remuneration packages of the Polokwane municipality councillors should be paid in grade 5, with a notice of effect from July 2021, meaning that Speaker, there should be some the payment of the remuneration of the councillors will be backdated, as the notice stipulates that they should be backdated and get payments from 1st of July last year. And all the councillors that are out of council right now, they also will be reimbursed of their payments, and those who are continue will get their money from July, and the current councillors will be reimbursed from November. So it's what the back payment is saying. That's what I wanted to clarify. In case there's in case there's a question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, MC Mashalani. Recommendation are approved. Next item, Secretariat.
Item 4.
Sorry. Councillor Chidi.
All right. Thank you, Speaker. As per listening to the presentation that was made by the MMC, she clarified something, but I wanted her to touch a bit deeper or extensively into what she was saying on issues of grading. I understand that the grading, we looked at the population, but the population is based on the 2011 census. So I just wanted to know, perhaps from where she's seated, or maybe the EM can assist, because the EM, of course, is privy to IGR meetings where they meet with other stakeholders. So perhaps maybe from where they are seated, do they know when the Stats SA 2021 population, feedback or outcomes might be made public, so that as Polokwane we can assess ourselves? Don't you think from 2011 up until now, the population might have increased, maybe, having some point effects to that? And then when you touch on issues of revenue, I've noticed that, you know, with the, I don't want to, like, let me not say it. With the new term of office, we have started, you know, to grow in terms of our revenue generation. We've seen it with PHA managing to get the 1 million in a 2 weeks period. So in the next financial year, what are the likelihoods that the revenue issue might also, assist in moving Polokwane from grade 5 to grade 6? Because it's just a small fraction point for us to can move there, even though we are not a metro city, but, you know, city status on grade 6. I just wanted just a bite or a touch on that. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Councillor Chidi. Executive Mayor.
Thank you very much. Firstly, let me highlight that the issue of the population is not necessarily, maybe just to appreciate, okay, let me appreciate Councillor Chidi's comment and the eagerness for us to move to grade 6, because grade 6 is a correct step forward towards a metro status, because all the metros are actually on grade 6. Now, if you look at the population points will not move, because for it to move, if I'm not mistaken, you might have to move beyond, in terms of population, you might have to move. At the moment, we are within 550,001 to 1.8 million. It is unlikely that we can move beyond or towards 1.8 million even after the current census, in order for us to qualify for 50 points instead of 41.67. Now, what is the quick win for Polokwane? Polokwane needs to increase its own revenue. In terms of revenue, in order to improve, we're already on 1.7 plus billion per annum. We need to go to 2 billion plus in order for us to qualify for 50 points. And that is where we will get the grade. And how much money do we still need? We need about 250, let's say 260, 270 million. Where do we get that 270 million? By billing, by collecting revenue in Mankweng and other new settlements where we need to do prepaid system. That's the first point. Secondly, by ensuring that those who owe us, in particular government, pay. If they do not pay, we switch off. We need to go more aggressive towards revenue collection if we want to go to grade 6. Yes, the grade 6 is within our reach, and we can actually reach it in the next financial year. And what we definitely need to do is exactly what I have already pointed out. We need to really improve on revenue, and that is why the issue of Mangwe need to be addressed, colleagues. And I can assure councillors that being on grade 6 is definitely very good for our councillor. It will be very good for well-being of our councillors, but most importantly, it will fast-track our movement towards the metro, which will actually benefit our communities. Now we are struggling law enforcement because we do not have metro police, something that we should be in control of, but we cannot up until we reach that metro status where we could be in control, where we could actually have more revenue opportunities and growth in terms of our economy as a municipality, and more investment both from the public and the private sector or direct investment. So growing the economy as well is another area with more benefits or more opportunity for us to improve in terms of revenue. And that is why we need to move with speed to ensure that those major mega programs in various corridors should actually be implemented from the LED point of view and the land use point of view, should actually be implemented. And that is why I just want to emphasize that is why you find that some of us, when we meet, when I met the president last year, I emphasize on the issue of the academic hospital, not because it's a municipal project, but it is our program, because if there is a academic hospital in town, how much opportunities will be created by that academic hospital? How much revenue will you get from that particular academic hospital? Because academic hospital will, for example, go with the School of Medicine being right inside town, and it will. There are major programs that are online on the pipeline. I just wanted to emphasize that part of our responsibility as councillors is to be agent for economic development and economic growth, and to ensure that we are the ones that tells our people to pay for services. And I also want to appreciate councillors who have been very much vocal about the issue of revenue. Let's make it our responsibility in the next financial year to ensure those who are not paying are paying. And where there are those who are not willing to pay, we take very decisive action to ensure that services are being paid for. Grade 6 will be our next grade. If we do our part as councillors, we provide leadership. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Executive Mayor. Councillor Opani.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I can see we don't have a control over our microphone, and this is a contravention with Rule 8.2. Madam Speaker, Chief Whip and the Executive Mayor, what we are doing is very wrong. Whatever you are hiding in this virtual will come out.
You are out of order. Out of order.
Thank you very much. But whatever.
Secretariat, next item.
Item 4, request to extend the acting allowance of Mr. Mishak Taba, Assistant Manager, Water and Sanitation, Infrastructure Development, to act as the Manager, Water and Sanitation on post level 1, page 76.
Councillor Mtlabe. Next item.
Item 5, request for declaration of vacancy for the position of Director, Water and Sanitation, and appointment of Acting Director, Water and Sanitation, Mr. Mishak Taba, page 8.
Honorable Councillor Mtapo.
Thank you, Speaker. It's just that I think my gadget is failing me. But it's related to the same item. On the previous item, I see here on the Mr. Mishak Taba Assistant Manager Sanitation, it says that starting from the 1st of June 2022, this date has already passed. So we are approving something that has already been approved, or what needs to happen on page 76. I think my gadget failed me. We were supposed to have noted me. So it just that is unfortunate, and my apologies for that. So if you look there on recommendation number 1, just the last sentence, it says 2 months from starting from the 1st of June. So we are already on the 23rd of June. So now, was this pre-approved, or council is only sitting now? And this was supposed to be, maybe, according to my understanding, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, it was supposed to be approved before the 1st of June. So please clarify me in that regard. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Councillor Mtapo. MC Mukamedi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and let me appreciate the presentation and the matter which raised by Councillor Mutapo in terms of a date. But it must be clear that that Taba now is acting as an assistant manager, And now, seated here, we are requesting council to approve Tava to act as a director in that relevant department. In terms of the date that is stipulated here, the 1st of June to the 5th of July. I'll check and consult and maybe give me only 2 to 3 minutes, then I'll come back just to check. It might be a typo error in this regard.
Thank you, MMC. Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Speaker, and greetings to all members of Council, starting with the Executive Mayor. Honorable Speaker, if you can check at the report, remember the acting appointment of managers are not the responsibility of Council. That is the responsibility of the municipal manager. Managers reporting directly to the municipal manager, their acting appointments are dealt by the municipal manager. We only deal with the acting appointment of the municipal manager and the manager reporting directly to the municipal manager, meaning the directors. Those other ones of managers are dealt directly by the municipal manager. So unless if the acting appointment exceeds 3 months, then exceeds 4 months, then there must be a council permission that will have to be sought for the acting appointment. If you can recall, Mrs. Shai has been acting as the director, water and sanitation, as a result of the suspension of the director Makoti, who has resigned. And as a result, the said Mr. Taba has been acting as a manager in that position of water. Now, Mr. Taba has acted for a period of 4 months. Now, the report here seeks to seek council permission to approve retrospective the acting days for that 1 month period, starting from the 1st of June to 5th July, so that the acting appointment can be remunerated, because Mr. Taba has acted as manager. Remember, Mr. Taba ordinarily is an assistant manager. He has acted in that position for 4 months. That is why it is here seeking council approval. And Honorable Speaker, because you were on item number 5, if you eat with item number 5, the item number 6, meaning after the acting has ended for Mr. Taba as manager, will then council management is requesting us to approve his acting as director for water and sanitation, so that there is a rotation in terms of the acting appointments on the director, because both remember, water sanitation does not have a manager. Both Mrs. Shai and Mr. Taba are both assistant managers. So the item number 5 requests for a rotation. So Mr. Taba being on both the I want to approve Mr. Taba as already acting manager on this entire recommendation book number 4 and 5.
Thank you very much, Chief Whip. Recommendation approved. Next item, Secretariat.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Item 6, request for advertisement of positions of Director Community Services, Planning and LED, and Roads and Transportation Services, page 89.
Councillor Lawrence, Councillor Jubet, in that order, please. Councillor Lawrence. or if he's not on the platform, Councillor Jubet.
Thank you, thank you, Speaker. I was looking through the report, but I couldn't find the answer. Is there any reason why it's a re-advertisement specifically? Did we not get sufficient CVs or interest from the public? We'd just like an answer why it's a re-advertisement specifically. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Councillor Jubet. Chief Whip.
Thanks once again, Speaker. And let me appreciate that you're taking questions. If you can go through the report, it clearly indicates why do management request the re-advertisement of this post. Remember, due to the COVID-19 regulations, which restricted manual submission of applications, resulted in us amending the requirement. It will say people must submit their applications electronically via email. Now, our email servers could not accept anything beyond 5 megabytes as an attachment. Now, other candidates who were applying were disadvantaged because they could not upload their attachments in terms of qualifications and other related experience because it was more than 5 megabytes. That is accepted by our servers. Now, and as in when they compressed further their attachments to in a zip format, our system rejected it as a threat. So in terms of applying and the applications could not go through. Now, we are a democratic institution, which we believe that everybody must be given a fair chance. It is only we react to the we didn't get that.
We didn't get that, Chief Whip. May you repeat on that?
That's once again, Speaker. What I was saying is the basis for the re-advertisement is based on the fact that during the COVID-19, remember this post was advertised when the pandemic was still rife and there were certain lockdown regulations that restricted physical interactions. And as a municipality, we have amended our processes that only electronic submissions through our email system, applicants may submit their applications. Now, our servers could not allow for attachments exceeding 5 megabytes. Now, there were those applicants whom their applications exceeded that particular 5 megabytes. Our email servers could not accept their applications. When they tried to compress and have their applications in a zip code, that is a more way of attaching. Our servers rejected them, identifying them as a threat. So people could not really apply. They were disadvantaged in terms of applying. Yes, Honorable Speaker. Yeah. That is the basis for the re-advertisement, just to allow everybody a fair chance to manually submit the applications without being disadvantaged by our email servers that reject
Councillor Lawrence.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I couldn't hear the Chief Whip's reply, but my question is, why do we need to re-advertise? Because these posts were advertised during April this year. This only also goes for the rest of the vacant posts advertised previously. For example, in one department, we have got 40 budgeters posts which are vacant for a very long time. These vacant posts make a very big negative impact on the massive overspending on overtime. The lack of personnel in budgeted vacant posts will also have a very negative effect on the implementation of the shift system. So then why are we re-advertising these posts and the others? Thank you very much, Speaker.
Councillor Mtapo. Councillor
Hello, Speaker. 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 Am I audible? Speaker. Speaker. Speaker.
Mtapo.
Speaker. Am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
All right. Speaker, I just wanted to raise, and sorry about that, and I don't know what can we do. Is there any reason why we have been muted? Because I think we are participant in this meeting. So we are continuously being muted. I don't know, it's through your instruction or this person is doing it deliberately. I don't know. Can you just clarify us why are we being muted without being told why we are muted? Thank you very much, Speaker.
Honorable Councillor Mtapo, you are muted because I'm the only one to tell the IT to unmute you. Secretariat, next item, please.
Speaker,
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Item 6 and 7 is closed session as per agenda I'm having. I'm not sure you will guide us. Item 7 and 6 and 8.
Speaker, can you see my hand? Yeah.